Brandi.
Well, Cher, this is the moment Trayvon Martin's parents have been waiting for. George Zimmerman has been charged with Trayvon's death and has turned himself in.
Today, we filed an information charging George Zimmerman with murder in the second degree.
With that announcement, George Zimmerman is now facing criminal charges in the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. 45 days after Trayvon's death, special prosecutors also announced Zimmerman is now in police custody in Florida.
This is the conclusion that we came to based on our review of the facts and evidence. We have to have a reasonable certainty of conviction before we file charges.
Zimmerman, a neighborhood watchman, claims he acted in self-defense when he shot the unarmed teenager back in February. Trayvon's parents watched the announcement as it was read live from Washington, D.C.
We just wanted an arrest, and we got it, and I say thank you.
After an initial investigation, the Sanford Police Department said it would not push for charges.
We want arrest!
And that decision sparked outrage and protests nationwide. In an unexpected twist yesterday, Zimmerman's attorneys also announced they were dropping their client.
He may have retained new counsel in the past couple of hours.
That new counsel is Mark O'Mara, a criminal defense attorney who is with Zimmerman right now.
Nobody, after all, wanted Trayvon Martin to be prejudged as he was walking down that street. I asked not to prejudge George Zimmerman.
Zimmerman will likely use Florida's stand your ground law as his defense, and prosecutors are prepared for that.
If stand your ground becomes an issue, we fight it.
Well, right now, Zimmerman is being held without bail, and if convicted, he faces a possible life prison sentence. Coming up on the KTLA News at 6:30, our legal analyst also tells us why many are surprised with this second-degree murder charge in this case. Micah, back to you.
Okay, Brandi Hitt, thank you. To you.
And Micah, George Zimmerman has been booked into the Seminole County Jail, charged with second-degree murder in the death of Trayvon Martin. Coming up after the break, why that charge has caught many by surprise.
Studio to bring us the latest. Brandi.
Hi, Micah. 45 days after Trayvon Martin's death, this is what his parents have been waiting for, what many around the country who've held rallies have been waiting for. And take a look. That is George Zimmerman's latest mugshot as he's been booked into the Seminole County Jail, charged with second-degree murder. And the big announcement came from the special prosecutor who has taken over this case.
Today, we filed an information charging George Zimmerman with murder in the second degree.
George Zimmerman, again, has turned himself in, has been booked into the Seminole County Jail with no bail. The Neighborhood Watch volunteer admitted to killing 17-year-old Trayvon back in February, but he claims he did it in self-defense. Trayvon, though, was not armed. Zimmerman now has a new attorney and will likely use Florida's stand your ground law as his defense. We spoke to KTLA legal analyst earlier today, Tanya Young-Williams, about these charges, and she says a lot of attorneys are surprised at the second-degree murder charge.
Makes me believe that the prosecutors have testimony or they have factual or physical evidence that the public yet understands that gives her confidence that her second-degree murder charge will hold. Corey is known to be a very aggressive, passionate prosecutor. She's never, ever known to overcharge a case.
Well, Zimmerman is expected to appear before a judge tomorrow and is expected to plead not guilty. He faces the possibility of life in prison if convicted. Now, his attorney says he will ask for a bond hearing tomorrow so Zimmerman can maybe be released. There is also reaction coming in from across the country to this case. We'll have the latest for you tonight on the KTLA News at 10. Micah, back to you.
A lot to talk about, Brandi. See you later.
Brandi.
Cher, George Zimmerman is in a jail cell awaiting his first court appearance tomorrow, and his attorney says Zimmerman will plead not guilty to the second-degree murder charge in the killing of Trayvon Martin.
There he is.
With his head covered, George Zimmerman was escorted into a Florida jail and booked for the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin.
Today, we filed an information charging George Zimmerman with murder in the second degree.
Zimmerman, a neighborhood watchman, claims he shot the unarmed teenager in self-defense back in February.
We want arrest!
After 45 days of rallies and protests nationwide, Trayvon's parents got what they were hoping for.
We just wanted an arrest, and we got it. And I say thank you.
Zimmerman turned himself into authorities and now has a new attorney.
He's concerned about getting a fair trial and a fair presentation.
His brother also told Piers Morgan George has been shaken up about this from the start.
Our brother literally had to save his life by taking
a life, and that's no situation that anybody wants to ever be in.
Zimmerman is expected to use Florida's Stand Your Ground law as his defense. KTLA legal analyst Tanya Young-Williams says that has to be brought up before trial.
They go before the judge without the jury and argue their case, and a judge will then decide, yes, the prosecution can move forward, or it will be dismissed.
If stand your ground becomes an issue, we fight it.
And civil rights leaders across the country say they won't rest until there's a conviction.
Is to make sure justice is done and there's closure for this grieving, suffering family and community.
Well, if Zimmerman is convicted of second-degree murder, he faces a possible sentence of life in prison without parole. Micah?